Shavuot Tov. I hope all of you had a beautiful and restful Shabbos. It was good weather today for the most part, which made it even nicer. So tonight we're going to be learning Daf Nun Vav Amud Beis, though starting on the bottom of Nun Vav Amud Aleph, as well as Daf Nun Zayin. We're going to be finishing the Parak Mirat Hashem, which will bring us to the end of Parak Bameh Behema and into the Parak of Bameh Isha. What we're learning today has nothing to do at all with Bameh Isha, Bameh Behema, excuse me. It is just a continued Agartha that will take us to the end of the Parak, and we're going to get started. There's a lot of psukim today, and I will be sharing with you the essence of those psukim as we navigate, and then we'll move into some briefly halachic gemaras over the course of the beginning of the new parak. So let's get started. We're on Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph. We are in the widest lines, 2 lines into the widest lines with Amar Rav. So Nun Vav Amud Aleph, about 15 lines from the bottom or so. Amar Rav, ki me'ayenes be David, lo mishkachas be bar mid Uriah. If you look into the life of David, the only thing that you're going to find in regard to his Averos is that which took place with Uriah. Again, Uriah was the husband of Bathsheba. David killed him because he was Mori b'Malchus. There were some other sugyas that took place, but what Isser did he do? It's really not so clear, even from the Gemara, because it says that he did have a get, because everyone who went to war gave a get. Machlokas in the Rishonim, if that get was given as a t'nai, only if he dies, and then lemafrei, retroactively they're divorced, or if it was a real get, and then in turn she was actually not married, and then they would get remarried afterwards. Okay, so we don't know exactly what David did. It's not clear. But the Gemara says if you look into the life of David, you will see that there's only that one prohibition that actually took place. Dichsiv, how do we know? Rak b'dvar Uriah hachiti, because the pasuk says that. The pasuk says that he only has what to show in regards to Uriah hachiti. Says the Gemara, Abai Kshisha Rami de Rava de Rav. This statement that we just said belongs to Rav, as we started in the second of the widest lines here. But Abai Kshisha, Abai asked a question of Rav Ade Rav, 2 statements of Rav which seem to not agree with one another. The one we just saw and this one. Miyama Rav Hachi, does Rav say that the only Isser that David did was in regards to this prohibition of Uriah, whatever he did wrong there? After all, the Amar Rav himself said, Kibel David Lashon Hara. He was Mekabel Lashon Hara. So Rav said these 2 statements, and says the Gemara, Kashya, you're right. This is very difficult to understand, and the Gemara does not provide an answer. However, in regards to the second source that Abaye brought up, we're going to be spending much of the next Amud, almost all the way to the end of the parak, discussing what Lashon Hara he was Mekabel. To give some background before we get started, David HaMelech took over after Shaul. Obviously, the relationship between Shaul and David was very complicated, at times with Shaul wanting to kill David, and David trying to prove himself that he really wasn't trying to usurp the throne, though it ended up being that he became the Melech. Shaul had a son whose name was Yonasan, and David and Yonasan were total blood brothers. They were the closest of friends. They use language in terms of Ahava between them in Tanakh. And then Yehonasan had a son whose name was Mephibosheth. And these are the characters that we're going to be discussing, with one addition, and that is that in the kingdom of Shaul, there was a servant whose name was Tziva. So again, we have the generations of the grandfather, father, child, which is Shaul, Yehonasan, Mephibosheth, and with the added character of Tziva, again, who was a servant in the kingdom of Shaul. So let's get started. Gufa, we're 5 lines down in the widest lines, about 10 lines up from the bottom. Gufa. Rav Amar Kibel David Lashon Hara. We'll see that Shmuel doesn't agree, but Rav says that that David was in fact Mekabel Lashon Hara. What's some of the background here? The background is as follows. The pasuk says, "Dechsiva Yomer Lo Hamelech Eifohu Vayomer Tziva El Hamelech." David was looking for Mephibosheth because he wanted to treat him well, and he went to Tziva, to the servant, to say, "Where's Mephibosheth?" And by Yomer Tziva al Hamelech, and Tziva said to the king, Hinehu Beis Mechir ben Amiel below Davar. He is in this particular place in Beis Mechir ben Amiel below Davar, and the Gemara assumes here that this is an insult, below Davar, without anything, meaning that he isn't really a Talmid Chacham. He doesn't have much to show for himself. However, Uksiva Yishlach Hamelech vayikacheu mi Beis Mechir ben Amiel malei Davar. When in fact David HaMelech sent to get Mephibosheth, he found that he was malei davar, that in fact he had some merit to him. He had some Torah in him. So the Gemara says that we now understand, Michti, Chazia de Shakrahu, David HaMelech was able to see based on the fact that he met Mephibosheth and he knew that Tziva misrepresented Mephibosheth and that Tziva represented him as one that wasn't a Talmud Chacham. But when David actually met him, he seemed to actually be Malay Davar, as the pasuk said. So now Michti Chazia de Shakrahu. So then David HaMelech knew that Tziva was lying. But if Tziva was lying, then ki hadar al shen ilave. Then later, when Tziva would say something negative about David, about Mephibosheth, my time akibla mine. Why would it then be that David would have accepted it? If your source is a bad source, Tziva is not telling the truth, so then why would it be that David HaMelech was in fact mekabel the lashon hara that he heard from Tziva? He already knew that Tziva was a liar. So let's see how the story plays out. Tichsiv, as the pasuk says, "Vayomer Hamelech ben Adonecha vayomer Tziva al Hamelech hine yoshev b'Yerushalayim." This pasuk was said by Tziva. Tziva responds to the king, and what's missing here is the Vagomer, the rest of the pasuk. And if you look at Rashi here fills in the gaps for us. And Rashi here says in the Rashi, Dibur Hamaschil Aye ben Adonecha, an inch and a half or two above where we are. Aye ben Adonecha vayomer hine yoshev b'Yerushalayim. Ki Amar Hayom Yashivu Lias Mamleches Avi. So the lashon hara that Tziva said about Mephibosheth is that Mephibosheth was really waiting not for David to be king, but for the lineage of Shaul to be king yet again. So he didn't want David to be king, and this was the lashon hara, which was against Ratzon Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted David to be king, and nevertheless, what do we see? We see that Mephibosheth is saying, in the name of Tziva at least, he's saying that really he wanted that Shaul's descendants, even though there was really only him, to be the king and not David. So that's the pasuk. Uminalan de kibel mine. How do we know that David in fact accepted this lashon hara? Dichsi vayomer hamelech hine lecha kol asher leMephibosheth vayomer tziva ishtachabes emsachein beinei hamelech. What was the pasuk here? That the king said, David said to Tziva as a punishment to Mephibosheth for having tried to intercede with the throne, to intercede with David's malchus. So then David HaMelech told Tziva that he could have the belongings of Mephibosheth. That was the consequence. So because he gave a consequence, we now see that David in fact was mekabel the lashon hara. Good. Ushmuel Amar, Shmuel doesn't agree with Rab. Rab said that Rav said that David HaMelech was mekabel lashon hara in addition to the sugya with Uriah, and Shmuel says no, that's not correct. Shmuel Amar, 5 lines from the bottom on Nun Vav Amud Aleph. Shmuel Amar lo kibel David lashon hara. No, he didn't give lashon hara. So what's pshat in the pasuk? He said in the pasuk that he gave a consequence. He gave Mephibosheth's items. He gave them to Tziva. So if that's the case, it seems that he was mekabel lashon hara. So how does Shmuel give pshat? Says the Gemara, Dvarim hanikarim chazabe. No, he looked at him and he saw that he did not respect David. David looked at Mephibosheth and saw that Mephibosheth, that's not lashon hara. I can use my own two eyes to decipher what's going on. I may have the need to be down the kavschus, but there's no lashon hara until someoe's talking and says something negative. But if I'm David HaMelech, then I see that you're not interacting with me in a kavodic way. So then I know that there's something wrong. Now I know that obviously you're edging and you're trying to get into the malchus that you wish for, which is the malchus of Shaul. So that's what the Gemara says here in the name of Shmuel, that really David did not violate the Yisra of lashon hara. Dvarim hanikarim chazabe tichsiv u'Mephibosheth ben Shaul yorad lifnei hamelech. Mephibosheth went in front of the king. Lo asa raglav, he didn't wash his feet. Lo asa sifamo, he didn't cut his beard, he didn't trim his beard. Des bigadav lo ki base, you go in front of the king. You dress like a chashuv person. You don't walk in like a shlump off the street. You have to dress like a mensch. Obviously, that's always true, but it's especially true when you're in front of the king. We'll see, and it also says another pasuk. This is going to be more lengthy, and then we'll see how the Gemara understands this, because the psukim here alone don't seem negative when you read them. When he came to see the king, why didn't you come with me? Turning to the top of the next page on Daf Nun Vav Amud Beis, he says he was physically handicapped. Mephibosheth was not able to walk on his own, so he had his animal set up in a particular way. You are like one of the angels of Hashem. You should do what is good. The two of you should split the proceeds. You should not have the punishment as it was. And all of this sounds wonderful, except for the following. The Gemara's explanation of this was that it was still the case that that Mephibosheth was trying to push his agenda. Amar lo, ani amarti, I said to myself, Masai tavo b'shalom, v'atao selikach. Why did you? I wished it wasn't that you were the king. I wish someone else was the king. And then here's the kicker line here, which the Gemara says, Lo alecha yeshli tar umos. It's not, my problem is not with you, David. My problem really isn't with you. Lo alecha tar umos, yeshli tar umos, ela al mi sheheviacha b'shalom, referencing a Kadosh Baruch Hu. My problem is with Hashem, that He gave you this lot, that He gave you this. I wish it was not your lineage. I wish it was mine. So here, according to Shmuel, there was no lashon hara, but David HaMelech picked up on his own that Mephibosheth was not behaving the right way. And how do we know that this was the case? Hainu dichsiv, that's what the pasuk means. Uven Yehona's son. Remember, as I mentioned, the son of Yehona's son was Mephibosheth, but here he's referenced in a different name. Uven Yehona's son, Meiriv Baal. He got a bad nickname of Meiriv Baal, the one who fights. Meiriv Baal Shemo. Absolutely not. His name was Mephibosheth. We know what his name was. V'alo Mephibosheth Shemo. So because he made a battle with those who were in charge, namely with David HaMelech. So therefore, Yotisa Baskal v'amrlo Notza bar Notza. You are a fighter, the son of a fighter. Fighter in a negative sense. You are rebellious, the son of someone who's rebellious. So who are each of these two people, the Notza and the bar Notza? Who are they? So Notza, the last of the shortest lines. Notza Hada Amran. The first one, the one generation is going to be Mephibosheth. That's what we've been talking about. Who is the next one? The Gemara says Bar Notza. Who's your father? So it wasn't talking about his father directly, but he was talking about his grandfather Shaul. D'chsiv vayavo Shaul Adir Amalek vayara banachal. There was a fight there. There was a battle of Amalek, and Shaul did not do his job. He was supposed to wipe out all of Amalek, but he did not do that, and that led to future destructions in Klal Yisrael. So it says the Gemara, Vayir Banachal, Amar Rabbi, Moni al Iske Nachal. This is why we consider Shaul to be the other Bar Notza. So Notza Bar Notza, the rebel, the son of the rebel. It's really the grandson. But you have Mephibosheth, who was not doing right by David, and he was fighting with the Kadosh Baruch Hu and saying, "I really wish that David wasn't the king." And then you have Shaul, who was the Bar Notza. He was the grandson, and he didn't do something right either, which is that he didn't wipe out Amalek properly. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rab, Shasha, Amar David Mephibosheth, Atav Tziva Techalku Es Asadeh. At the time that David HaMelech said to Mephibosheth that you and Tziva will split this field, so then Yatzis a Baskol, then a Baskol came out from Shemayim v'Amra, Lo Rechavam v'Yeravam Yechalku Esamelucha. The Mefarshim here point out that at this point, when David was dealing with this whole Maisa with Mephibosheth and with Tziva, that there was a Gzeira that was the Gzeira was Mida Keneged Mida. Think about the two people here. You had Mephibosheth, who was family, basically. He was a grandson of Shaul and the son of Yehona's son, and you had Tziva, who was an Eved. So there, once David made this error, so then there was an Onesh that Rechavam, who was David's son, the Yeravam, and a servant in the system, Yechalku Esamelucha. And this led to the split of Yehuda and Yisrael that we know now in regards to Eretz Yisrael. So that happened because of this episode. Amar of Yehuda, Amar Rab, and this is a very powerful line. Ilmale lo kibel David lashon hara. If not for the fact that David was mikabel lashon hara, lo nechlaka malchus beis David. The malchus beis David never would have split. Eretz Yisrael would have been under one ruler. It would not have been under many rulers. Velo avdu Yisrael avodah zara, and they would not have worshipped idols. Velo galinu me'artzeinu. Very, very powerful. The power of lashon hara. It's amazing to hear this level of dialogue, where the question is, in his whole lifetime, was he mikabel, not speaking lashon hara, was he mikabel lashon hara one time? Such a lofty level, something that we should be pining for and aspiring to be on such a level where people can even talk about us in that way, that we never speak lashon hara. Even when we say that about people, it's probably not categorical. That's a very lofty level. So Gag at the most. The two averas, according to Rav, and Rav is the Machmir, according to the two possible averas that David HaMelech did in his whole life, was the story with Uriah, which was bad, and this potential Kabbalah of Lashon Hara, and that's a machlokas amoraim. Shmuel says he was not even makabel Lashon Hara. He was able to notice the problems on his own. Very, very powerful that people are functioning on such a level. We are at the 2 dots, 1/3 of the way down on Nun Vav Amud Beis. Amar of Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar of Yonasan, Kol Omer Shlomo Chata Einu Ela Torah. Remember that Shlomo is David's son. Anyone who says that Shlomo did something wrong, they're making a mistake. Amar v'lo hayale bavo shalemi mashem elokav kilvav David aviv. That his heart was not full, was not connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the same way that his father was. So Shlomo was not as close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as David was. And then says the Gemara, Kilvav David Avivhu Delohava. It's true that he wasn't exactly the same as his father. However, Michtanami Lochata. However, he did not do any Averas, which is, again, a very lofty level. The son is different than the father, but he didn't do any Averas. They're Harbid Drachim, they're Shivim Panim LaTorah. It doesn't have to follow everything. But the Pasuk wasn't implying that he did something wrong. The Pasuk was simply saying that he was different than his father. He didn't do any Averas. If that's true, then Moani Makayim Vayhila Esikna Shlomo Ziknas Shlomo Nashav Hitu Es Levavo. But the pasuk says that his wives swayed him away and toward Avodah Zarah. So says the Gemara, Ahika Reb Nasan. The Reb Nasan Rami Ksi Vayhila Esiknas Shlomo Nashav Hitu Es Levavo. One pasuk says. Reb Nasan asks a contradiction in Psukim. One pasuk says that when he was older, his wives swayed him. V'aksiv kilvav David, aviv kilvav David, aviv hudelo hava, michta nami lo chata. So these two psukim are contradictory. One says that he did something wrong with that his wives. He allowed his wives to sway him toward avodah zarah, and the other pasuk says michta nami lo chata, that he didn't do anything wrong. So which pasuk is right about Shlomo? Which pasuk is right? It says the Gemara Hachi Kamar, right about halfway down. Hachi Kamar. This is Pshat. So there, the pasuk says that his wives swayed him to go after Elokim Acherim, after other gods. Elohim Acherim, without the kuf. These are gods that are zeros. Below halach, but in fact he did not go. They tried to sway him, but they failed. Hold on 1 second. The pasuk says, "Az yivne Shlomo b'melech Moshi kotz Moav." The pasuk says that he was to build things, and the pasuk says yes, Yivna in the future he was going to. Shebikesh livnos below bana. So here we see that Shlomo was tempted by it. His wives managed to capture his heart, but he never ended up doing that which he wanted to do, which was an averas. But it was never done. Says the Gemara, that's not a good argument. What, the fact that the language is future, that doesn't always work. The Elameata, if that's true, Yivna Yehoshua Mizbeach LaHashem Shebikesh Livnos V'lo Bana. Ela Debana, Hachanami Debana. By Yehoshua, it says that he was going to build a Mizbeach to Hashem in the future with a Yud. Does that mean that because it's futuristic, it didn't happen? You wanted to say that by Shlomo, when it came to his wives, that it says Yibana, that he was going to build. Let's make a deal that therefore he didn't do it because it's future. It didn't say Bana in the past. But then we have the same exact phraseology when it comes to Yoshua building Mizbeach LaHashem. The haraya, that the futuristic use of the word Yibana, that it will be built, doesn't always mean that it wasn't built, because we see that by Yoshua that in fact it was. So it says the Gemara, Ella, you're right. Good point. The language is not why. Ella Kedetanya, Rabbi Yossi Omer. Rabbi Yossi says as follows: V'yasabamos asher al pnei Yerushalayim asher mimin lahar hamishcha asher bana Shlomo melech Yisrael ashtaros shikutz tidonim. The pasuk says that there were certain avodah zaras that were built. Asher bana Shlomo hamelech, that Shlomo built, but at a later point, this pasuk was later. So here's what the Gemara says: Efshar, is it possible? Ba asa below biaram, that the king Asa, who was after Shlomo, that he did not wipe out these below biaram, that he didn't burn out these avodah zaras. Yehoshaphat below biaram at Sheba Yoshia. So many generations were 3-4 kings later. Now all of a sudden Yoshia biaram velo kol avodah zar sheberetz Yisrael asa v'yoshavat biarum. So it can't be that it wasn't burned. Ella makish rishonim la'achronim, and this is how we are to understand the contradiction in Psukim in regards to Shlomo. Did he violate an avera? Did he not violate an avera? Makish rishonim la'achronim, 2/3 of the way down. Ma'achronim lo asu v'talabahen l'shvach. Just like the later ones didn't destroy the avodah zarah, but they were treated because there was no avodah zarah during their time, they were given the credit as though the avodah zarah had been burned. Af rishonim lo asu, even the earlier ones, namely Shlomo, they lo asu, they didn't do it either, and lignai, but he was being given a consequence as though he had done it because his wives did capture his heart. He wanted to do it. Machshava kemaisa. That's how the Gemara explains the contradiction in terms. Wait a minute. After all of that, we have our answer. But still, the pasuk says, "Vayash Shlomo hara b'nei Hashem." But the pasuk still says that Shlomo did bad. So how can that be? This is going back to our Gemara from many days ago about the importance of giving criticism where one needs to make a stand. Because Shlomo did not push back against his wives when they tried to convince him to do avodah zarah. He should have said, "Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad." There's only one God. You're giving me all of these inanimate objects that you want me to serve. Absolutely not. Hashem is one. We're divorced. He should have made a macha, and he didn't do that. And because of that, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Noach lo laoso tzadik sheyeshamash l'davar acher ba'al yikaseh b'avayas hara b'nei Hashem. Wow, would have been better for this person, for this yid, for Shlomo HaMelech to actually worship avodah zarah than to have a pasuk that says about him that he was ra b'nei Hashem. Very powerful idea. I don't know that that's a halachic concept because the isser of avodah zarah is yihareg ve'al yavor. I think it's just highlighting that it's probably not a good thing when a Kadosh Baruch Hu says about you that you did the ra b'nei Hashem. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel b'shasha nasa Shlomo as Bas Paro. When Shlomo married Bas Paro, day of, the moving trucks pulled up. Ichnisa lo elef mine zemer. She pulled in 1,000 instruments. She put them into the castle. Ve'amra, and she said, Ve'amra lo, kach osen lavodah zarah plonis, ve'kach osen lavodah zarah plonis. We play this instrument to that god and that instrument to this god. So ve'lo michabo, and he didn't say anything. So that's what the Gemara was referencing. He should have said something. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel b'shashanasa Shlomo as Bas Paro. When they got married, when he married Bas Paro, so says the Gemara, Yarad Gavriel v'noatz kana b'yam. Right at that time, Gavriel came down from the heavens and he took a stick and he stuck it into the ocean. Ve'ala basirton, and it made this little island. Ve'alav nivne krach gadol shel Romi. And this is where Rome came from, which would down the road be one of the peoples who decimated the Jewish people. So this all because of these averas. It's a very powerful idea. The Gemara throughout here is speaking in such remarkable terms how the power of one person, of any yid, could lead to tremendous bracha. The power of one yid could lead to tremendous klala. One person gets a virus that no one can see, it conquers the whole world. That's lera. But we can also do a Maseches that can impact the entire world. If you have the koach to do one way, you have the koach to do it the other way. So this Gemara is referencing these powerful ideas that because Shlomo married Bas Paro, one yid, one mistake, but it affected the klal. This also references the Gemara we learned on Thursday that when a person is in a position of power, there's more of a responsibility for them to be mocha. There's more of a responsibility for a person to make a macha. Certainly true of Shlomo HaMelech. And that's not the end of the story. Tana, the first of the longest lines here, also Yom Shehichnis Yeravam, Shnei Eglei Zahav, Echad Beveisel, Ve'echad Bedan, when he brought these two Egel HaZahavs, one in Beisel, in the city of Beisel, and one in the city of Dan. So then, Nivnet Tzrif Echad, there was one little tent that was built, one little cabin, Vizehu Italia Shal Yavan, that was the beginning of Italia, that was the beginning of Yavan, of the people from Greek. Question here is he's saying that because we didn't make a macha, the onish was from not we that he didn't make. Yes, that's implied from the Gemara. Yes, text that seems to be the case. That because the leader didn't make the macha, therefore it led to other issues. It doesn't mean the Churban Beis Hamikdash because that had other aspects to it, but it led to the development of the people of Rome. Again, these are upstairs questions of like how does God run the world? But it does seem direct that right when he married her, then Gavriel came down from Shemaim and he was not kana b'yam. It does seem very clearly that way. Yes, the same is true for the Greek Empire. 2 dots, about 8 lines down. Emir Hashem finishing the parak in just a couple of minutes. Let's finish up together. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmeni, Amar Rav Yonasan, Kol Omer Yoshiyahu Chata'inu Elato. Anyone who says Yoshiyahu did an avera, they're making a mistake. Shenemar Vayasa Yashar B'nei Hashem Vayelech B'chol Derech David Aviv, it says that he did all the good. If that's true, Elamani Makayim Kamohu Lo Haya Lefanav Melech Asher Shav Vagomer. Nobody did tshuva like him. Nobody did tshuva like him. Then what was he like before tshuva? He should have done something wrong. You only can do tshuva if you make a mistake. So says the Gemara, if you're telling me that Yoshia is such a tzaddik, so then what does it mean that he's about tshuva? It used to be that he wasn't about tshuva. We know we're supposed to be very sensitive to people who are baalei tshuva. We try not to make reference to their past because it can cause them agmas nefesh and it can be a busha for them under certain circumstances. Here the Gemara is talking about it openly. The Haraya, the pasuk seems to say that Yoshiyahu was was not a tzaddik at some point in his life. Says the Gemara, Shekol Dayan Shadan miben shmone ad shmona esrei, from years 8 of his reign until year 18 of his reign, for all of the adjudications, for all of the cases where he paskin. So hechziran lahen, he returned all of the money to the people from whom he extracted them. Shema tomar notal mizeh, maybe you'll say, maybe he took the money from the wrong person, and then now the din is flipped the other way. If he said that person X was owed $1,000 from person Y, now he's saying, hey, person Y, you have to pay up. So then that's not so righteous. But he took the money out of his own pocket. Shema tomar notal mizeh v'nosal mazeh. You took it from person Y and gave it to person X. No, it came from his own dime. Talmud lomar b'chol me'odo, from his own money nosal lahem. Mishelo upliga de Rav, and this is against the opinion of Rav. De Amar Rav, ein lecha gadol b'balei tshuva yoser meYoshio b'doro ve'echad b'dorenu. Rav said that the two biggest people who were baalei tshuva was Yoshiyahu. Namely, he disagrees with the first opinion that said that no, he was just being machmer and he was paying back all the defendants in case he made a mistake out of his own money. In this opinion, Rav says no, he was not stark. He needed to do tshuva. So before he did tshuva, he was not a good person, and he had to do tshuva. And he also adds in ve'echad b'dorenu, says Rav. There was someone else in his generation. Umanu, asks the Gemara 4 lines before the end of the parak. Says the Gemara, Abba avuha de Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba ve'amre la acha avuha de Abba avuha de Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. These were brothers. Damar mar Rabbi Abba ve'acha achi havu. They were brothers. Amar Rav Yosef. There was another Yid who also did a tremendous amount of tshuva, Umanu. Who was this? Ukvan bar Nechemya Reish Galusa. He was the son of the Reish Galusa, Ukvan. V'hainu, Nasan de Tzutzisa. He's referred to as Nasan de Tzutzisa. Rashi here speaks about this, about his name. Amar Rav Yosef, Havi Yosivna Bepirka. If you ever feel bad about falling asleep in a shir, you can use this Amora as your Mari Makom. Amar Rav Yosef, Havi Yosivna Bepirka. I was sitting in shir with my Rebbe, says Rav Yosef, the Hava Kamenam name, and I was kind of nodding off. And while I was nodding off, I saw in my dream the Pashat Yade V'Kible. I saw that a Kadosh Baruch Hu was Pashat Yade. He extended his hand, Kaviyachol, to accept the tshuva of this Yid, of Nasan de Tzutzisa, of Ukvan bar Nechemya Reish Galusa. Baruch Hashem, we finished another parak. Hadron alach b'meh behema. Hadron alach b'meh behema. Hadron alach b'meh behema. We're going to be starting now a new parak. We still have a little ways to go. And this is Daf Nun Zayin Amud Aleph, very much at the top. This Gemara is going to be speaking about, we would have thought in Yonei Muksa, because that's what all the previous Mishnayos were talking about, but not so pasha that that's what we're talking about. Let us jump right in. I'll be clear up front that the Mishnah has a lot of terminologies that I won't be explaining right now because we're going to see them in the Gemara. So I'll just tell you that Rashi is going to say whatever he says, Mafarish B'Gemara, whatever it is. If there's anything to share, then I certainly will. But a lot of these terms we're just going to learn in the Gemara. Opens the Mishnah Nun Zayin Amud Aleph, starting parak Bameh Isha. Bameh Isha Yotza Ubameh Eina Yotza. What is a woman allowed to go out with? What is she not allowed to go out with? Seemingly discussing, again, Muksa, we'll see that that's not the case. Says the Mishnah, Lo Seite Isha Labachute Semer, she cannot go out with strands of wool, Labachute Pishtan, strands of flax, Labirtuas Shibarosha, and not with bands that are in her hair, Below Sitbol Behen, and she cannot go into the mikvah with them Ad Shetirapes until the knots are loosened. Velo b'totefes, we'll learn in the Gemara what a totefes is. Velo b'sarvitin, we'll see as well in the Gemara. Velo b'sarvitin bizman she'enon tefurim, when they are not stitched. Velo b'kavul l'rshus harabim, and that is a term that we will see as well later. Rashi says mefarish b'Gemara. Velo be'ir shel zahav. This was a decorative piece. We've seen this before. It was a piece of gold that emblazoned into the gold or impressed into the gold was like the horizon of Yerushalayim. We're not the first to do it in our generation. This was done back then. That's what is the Ir Shalzav. V'lo b'katla, which was like a choker of some kind. V'lo b'nizamim, with nose rings. V'lo b'tabas she'eno le'achotem. And you could not wear rings that didn't have a chotem on it, like a signet, some type of attached siman that was on it. V'lo b'machat she'ena nekuba, not with a needle that didn't have an eyelet to it. V'im yatzas eina chayeves chatas. And if she goes out, she's not chayev chatas. Why is she not chayev chatas if she's carrying on Shabbos? Opens the Gemara right out of the gate. Wait a minute. In the middle of this, you said that a woman's not allowed to go out with all of these things in her hair, the wool and the flax and the ritzuos shebirosha. And then you said that if in fact she has to go to the mikvah, so then you have to loosen this. Now, if you've learned Mishnayos before, Mishnayos don't factor in every possible scenario that a person could engage in. There are a billion scenarios that. Why are we talking about mikvah? That's the Gemara's case here. Why did you bring mikvah into this Mishnah? Whatever Hilchos Shabbos we're talking about, it has nothing to do with mikvah. So why are we talking about this here? So says the Gemara, Tefillah, man dekar shmei. Literally, who mentioned its name? It's code word for what in the world is this doing here? We're not talking about Tefillah klal uchlal. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Amar Rabba bar Habua, ma ta'am ka'amar. It is giving you a matam. Matam is a structure in the Gemara of speech, just like this, therefore that. And here's how it works. Matam, what is the reason? It's really not really to say just like this, therefore that. It's more like, what is the reason for X? Therefore, then we give the reason, and all the pieces fit nicely together. And here's how it plays out in this case. Matam lo seitze isha lo bechute semer lo bechute pishtan. What's the reason why in our Mishnah it says that a woman cannot go out with strands of wool and with strands of flax in her hair? Because during the week, the Chachamim had a get there. They had a guideline that a woman was not to go to a mikvah with these things in her hair until they were loosened. Obviously, because of dinei chatzitza, because we know that when one goes to the mikvah, that they have to make sure that there is no chatzitza, that there's no separation between the water and their body. An interesting caveat is that there are parts of the body, beis hashechi, the armpits, other areas of the body, like inside a person's mouth. You don't have to get water into your mouth. It has to be a theoretical possibility that water could access your mouth. I just recently heard a shir, maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, from Rav Schechter from Yeshiva University, and he said that the bottoms of your feet are considered beis hashechi also. So sometimes if you ever go to a men's mikvah, you see someone picking up their feet off the floor, and they to try to find their doggy paddling and trying to find a way to get it done. So Rav Schechter says that that's totally unnecessary because the bottoms of your feet are a beis hashechi. Anyways, the dinim of chatzitza require that we have access, that the water has access to all the body. So if the chutei tzemer, if the chutei pishtan are tied very tightly in a woman's hair, then the mikvah that she goes to won't count. And that's why we have to make sure that these are loose. This was true during the week as well. So it's Shamru Chachamim Bechol during the week lo sitbol behen ad shetirafes. Therefore, Bekevan de Bechol lo sitbol behen. Therefore, since during the week she's not allowed to go to the mikvah and then ad shetirafes, B'Shabbos lo seitze. She shouldn't even go out with them on Shabbos. That would be considered not a good idea. Says the Gemara. Why? Dilma misrami la tefila shel mitzvah b'shar yalahu. Maybe she'll say, I need to go to the mikvah today, and then b'shar yalahu, she'll loosen the ties of the things that are in her hair. And if she does that, the asi le'asvinhu, she will then come to carry dalad amos birshus harabim. Wow, a very wild set of circumstances where our Mishnah lists a number of things that a woman should not be yotze with, even though their gzera primarily is rooted in mikvah. But on Shabbos, she should know. What does that mean? Doesn't the woman know when she's going to the mikvah? She does a Vedika 7 days ago. She gets a hefsek tara. She knows exactly when she's going to the mikvah. So some Rishonim say it could just be that she remembered on that day that she had to go to the mikvah. And others say in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, if she wanted to eat truma, she may have to jump in the mikvah as well, just to make sure that she's tahora. So there are circumstances that the Gemara could come up with. But that's why our Mishnah says that a woman could not go out with chutei tzemer and chutei pishtan in her hair, with these things that are woven into her hair, because in doing so, she may run the risk of accidentally carrying on Shabbos if, in fact, she ends up going to the mikvah on Shabbos. Just about the middle of the page, they asked about the following thing. Tiki chalilta mai. Tiki Khalilta was like some type of lace fabric type of material that women used to wear. What's the din? Amar le arig ka'amris. If you're saying that this is going to be sewn, it's made out of thread. Kol shehu arig lo gazru. There's no gzeira on things that are arig because liquid can get into them. If they're sewn items, if they're like braided, then liquid can get into them. It's marnami amar Rav Huna bereid Rav Yoshua kolshu arig lo gazru. We're not talking about. There's no prohibition in our Mishnah about things that are arig, things that are sewn, and only the limitations that we see in the Mishnah as they are. Ve'ika de amre. Some say that this gzeira was listed differently. Amar Rav Huna bereid Rav Yoshua chazisa le'achvasi. He saw that when his sisters would get dressed, when they were fixing up their hair, to lo kaptan alayu, they were allowed to wear these tiki chalilta, these garments that were made out of lace. There was no problem that one was allowed to do that. Asks the Gemara, Ma'ika ben hach lishno ben hach lishno. What's the difference between these two lishonos? Between the language of that by arig lo gazru, that by anything that's sewn, by this lace garment, that there's nothing problematic about anything that's sewn, versus the approach of, I saw that my sisters were not makbid on this. Says the Gemara, Ika beneo diminitfan. The difference is when things get dirty. According to the first language, if according to the first language, even if the thing gets dirty, so who cares? It's you can still go to the mikvah in that because it's made out of a material that the water will soak through. But if it's not based on that, but rather it's based on the hakpada, it's based on how a woman feels about wearing it, and if it's dirty, she won't wear it. Since it's dirty, since it is dirty, mikbad kapta alayhu, therefore she would not wear it. So that would be the nafkamin in regards to the tiki chalot. In regards to this thing, do we say that anything that's arug is permissible because water can get there, dirty or not, or do we say like the ika de amre that no, it's just based on what women would actually do, and a woman would not wear garments that are particularly dirty, and therefore it would not be allowed to be worn. These are the shnei tzadim, and as you can see, there's a little daled by the kevan de tanifa because we seem to paskin like this second approach. Says the Gemara a little bit past the middle of the page, Tanan Hasim, we have a Mishnah in Maseches Mikvos that we're going to be spending some time learning about right now. Says the Mishnah in Maseches Mikvos, Ve'elu chotzitzin ba'adam, here are some of the things that generate a chatzitza when a person goes to the mikvah. Chutei tzemer, ve'chutei pishtan, ve'harutzua shebaroshe habanos. Very similar to our Mishnah, to the Tanakama of our Mishnah, that there is tzemer, there is a chutei tzemer, and there is there are strands of wool, there are strands of flax, and the rituos, these types of bands that a woman would wear, that a girl would wear in her hair. Rav Yehuda Amar shel tzemer v'shel tzeyar ein chotzitzin mipnei shamayim ba'im bahem. There's a machlokas. See, here we see that the tzemer is quoted by both the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda was lenient. But not only that, Rabbi Yehuda went head to head with the Tanakama, because the Tanakama said that tzemer, that wool, was considered a chatzitza. Masha'enkin, Rabbi Yehuda, who's matir the tzemer, he says that there is no problem of this at all. So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, B'chulan b'roshe habanos shaninu. All of these are being worn in the hair of girls. What exactly was he trying to teach? So says the Gemara, Maski Flor of Yosef, Lema'ute Mai. Why was he coming to teach this particular case? It must be that he's trying to preclude something. What is it that he's trying to preclude? If you want to say that maybe this wasn't worn in the hair, it was worn around the neck, udemai, and what was it made out of? If you want to say that this garment was made out of tzemer, made out of wool, if this soft garment was put on something that was very hard, let's say let's say it was on a kli, so then we would say chotzeitz, chotzeitz, that it would be a chatzitza. Then rach al gabe rach, then when you put it on your own flesh, so when you put on a choker and it's very tight, it depresses the skin, it pushes down, and for sure that's going to be a chatzitza mibaya. Of course that's going to be a problem. It must be lemuute dechute pishtan. It must be talking about the strands of flax. So says the Gemara, that can't be either, because hashta koshe, the flax was considered to be a very hard material, a non-absorbent hard material. The hashta kashe al gabe kashe chotzeitz kashe al gabe rach miboya. It can't be, because the flax, if we say that flax, when it's wrapped around a kli, a hard kli would be a chatzitza. Certainly on skin, when it's pressed against the skin, it's going to be pressed very hard. We'll see soon that women were women had a preference to make things to when they would wear, not their clothing in general, but when they would wear this choker or whatever they were wearing, they would wear it to show that they were not so skinny. They wore it to show that they had a little bit of basar on them. It was a sign of wealth, as we will see shortly. So it says the Gemara, Ella, Amar of Yosef, Hainu Taima de Ravuna, Levishain Isha, Chonekes es Atzma. Don't worry, women are not going to choke themselves. They're not going to make it extremely tight to the point that the water can't even get in there. ACV asks the Gemara, hold on one second. ACV Abaye. Abanos yotzos bechutin shebeoznehen. Women would sometimes wear threads through their ears, not just earrings that were made out of metal like we do, but sometimes they would wear a colorful string that was pulled through a hole in their ear. Aval lo bechabaken shebetzavarehan. They would not go out with these things that were around their necks, the chabaken that were around their necks. There were strings of some kind. The yamris ein isha chonekes atzma chabaken shebetzavarehan amaylo. It seems from here that if they would not allow the chabaken shebetzavarehan, that they couldn't wear the choker around their neck. If they weren't allowed to do that, it must be that there's a chatzitza there. But you just said that a woman is ein isha chonekes, that she's not going to make it so tight. So then we have a contradiction. So says the Gemara, Amaylo, why would that not be allowed? Amar Ravina, turning to the top of Nanzayin and Beis, Hacha bekatla askinan disha chonekes atzma denichala shatira kebaylas basar. We're talking about a katla, which was, if you look at Rashi describes some type of bib. It was nicer. It was a nice bib, but women used to. That's why men started wearing ties, was to catch food. So back in the day, ties were much wider. They covered a lot more real estate on your shirt. So women also, take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, "Beged chashuv litlos b'tzavar." There was a very chashuv garment that she would hang on her neck, kineged liba, on her chest. Shelo yipol ma shehi ochelas al begadeha. So there, that's what she was wearing. That's the case here. So hachla bekatla askina, back in the Gemara top line, she was wearing this type of bib. The isha chonekes esatzma. There's the difference between the two cases. One was talking about a regular choker. There, isha's ena chonekes. When she's wearing a regular choker for design, for regular decor, just part of her, then they would not do it too tight. But the bib, a chashav bib, that was an indicator that they had money. So that's what the Gemara means here. Denichala shetira kebailas basar. It was good for the woman to appear that she had some meat on her, that she had some flesh on her. So when she put on the bib, she put it on tight enough that it would highlight, that it would accentuate the fact that she had a little bit of fat on her neck. Nowadays, things have changed. Standards have changed. But that was normal in that culture. It's still normal in some other cultures as well, that it's considered a good sign if a person is a little bit meaty. 2 lines, top of Nanzayin and Beis. Rabbi Yehuda Omer shel tzemer v'shel tzer ein chotzitzim imei shehamayim boin bahen. Rabbi Yehuda was Mekel. He argued with the Tanna Kama head to head in regards to tzemer. But what the Tanna Kama did not mention was seyar. The Tanna Kama in the Mishnah and Mikvos that we learned at the bottom of Nanzayin Amud Aleph, he only mentioned chutei tzemer and chutei pishta, but he didn't talk about hair. Rabbi Yehuda argued directly in regards to tzemer, but said also hair. So we have to see what the Tanna Kama held about hair. Says the Gemara at the 2 dots, 4th line. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, halacha Rav Yehuda bechutei seyar. The halacha is like Rav Yehuda in regards to hair. Amar le Abaye, who said there's even a machlokes about it? The Tanna Kama didn't even speak about it. Amar le Abaye, halacha mechlal de pligi. Who's the other opinion? We saw in regards to this Mishnah Mikvos that the Tanna Kama only spoke about chutei tzemer and chutei pishtan. He only spoke about wool and he only spoke about flax. Then Rabbi Yehuda comes along and says, I disagree with you about the tzemer, and I also think that hair is permissible. So when this Gemara opens in the name of Rabbi Yosef, in the name of Shmuel, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda when in regards to hair, who's arguing with him? Nobody. It's maybe nobody. It says the Gemara, maybe you would have said, it must be that the Tanna Kama was talking about hair as well, because if he wasn't talking about it, then Ihu Nami lo have a Mayri. Then Rabbi Yehuda would never have responded, Klalu, he wouldn't have talked about it at all. So maybe the fact that Rabbi Yehuda talks about the Seyar, even though the Tanna Kama doesn't, maybe that's the raya that the Tanna Kama held the opposite, that Seyar is a chatzitza, and Rabbi Yehuda's arguing head to head, just like by the Tzemer, but the Tanna Kama left out the word Seyar for whatever reason. So that's the Havim. He says, no way. Not possible. No, Vidilma Kishem Ka'amar Lahu. Maybe it's just like, quote unquote, the beginning of the sentence, just like he's giving a just like argument, just like this, then that. Just like Tanakama, just like you agree with me by omission, because Tanakama didn't talk about Seir. Maybe we could have argued that just like the Tanakama didn't talk about Seir, Odulinami bechute tzemer, at least you should agree with me. And here they do argue. Yeah, I know, Tanakama, that you agree with me when it comes to hair. I know. But you should also agree with me when it comes to Tzimmer. He doesn't, but that's what the Machlokes is. So that's how the Gemara says that the omission of the Tanakama could have been understood, and therefore there's no raya to the sheet of Shmuel that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe everyone agrees in regards to hair that hair is not a chatzitza. Okay, says the Gemara, we have some rayas for this. Itmar. Itmar is always an introductory word to the Amoraim. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel. Modim chachamim the Rabbi Yehuda bechute seyar. They agree in regards to chute seyar. That's an explicit raya. That's very interesting that it's in the name of Shmuel too, because Shmuel was the one who just said that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. This must be a mistake in regards to that first phrase of Rabbi Yehuda, of Shmuel, because Shmuel doesn't get the din wrong. So it must be that there was a mistake in the first one of the transmission of Shmuel Shita, because we see here Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, the same person who 4 lines ago said the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, implying that there was a machloka. Says here, no, the Chacham and man Rabbi Yehuda agree with hair. Tanya Nami Hachi, the Bryce as well says the same. Chutei tzemer chotzitzin, chutei seir ein chotzitzin. Wool does create a chatzitza. That sounds like the Tanakama. Chutei seir ein chotzitzin. That also sounds like the new version of the Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda Omer shal tzemer v'shal seir ein chotzitzin, and Rabbi Yehuda extends it even further, that even by the tzemer. So here we see the machlokas more clearly. Again, in a brisa here, which is a very strong raya, that this is the case. This is also implied in a Mishnah. We have an explicit brisa that allows a woman to go out in public on Shabbos with hair woven into her own hair, whether it's her own hair that was disconnected from her body and reattached, or it's hair from another person, a sheitel, a hair extension. Money, whose opinion is this? This brisa says that a woman can go out with her own hair or with someone else's hair. Whose opinion is that? Money. Yulema Rabbi Yehuda, if you're saying this is the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda, afilu chutei tzemer nami, then this brisa should have added in chutei tzemer as well. Why didn't it add in chutei tzemer? Must be that this brisa is not talking about Rabbi Yehuda. Therefore, what must it be? And the Gemara, in fact, concludes that there was no machlokas really. There was no machlokas in regards to the shita of hair. Hair is not considered a chatzitza when it's touching the body or when it's woven into the hair as well. I'm not paskening halacha l'maisa. We're very makbid in mikvahs that mikvah attendants, when a woman is going to the mikvah attendants are very careful to tell women to pull hair off of their back if there are any loose strands. It's not le'ikuva. It doesn't uproot the mikvah, but we are makbid on it. It's just that this Gemara says that ledina, technically speaking, it would not be considered a hefsek, not according to Rabbi Yehuda. Of course, it says it explicitly, and not according to the Tanakam as well. Lo betotefes, we said that a woman cannot go out betotefes, 2 dots middle of the page, and Zion and Beis, just a couple more minutes, and we're going to wrap up. My totefes, Amar Rav Yosef, chumras adiktivta. What is the chumras adiktivta? This is totefes. Let's look in Rashi, 4 lines, 4 inches from the top, I guess 4 inches above 2. It says Rashi, chumras adiktivta, kesher she'osin l'refuos, Kituf ayin ra shelo tishlo. This is the second time we've seen this in the Gemara in a matter of days. Previously, we saw the kamiya, that one's allowed to wear an amulet as long as the amulet is known to be an amulet that actually works very well. Here too, we see another type of thing. It's called a chumras adiktivta, that one was allowed to wear to ward off ayin hara. Says the Gemara, Amar le Abaye ta'abi ki kamiya mumche v'tishtarei. We saw a couple of blot ago that one is in fact allowed to wear a kamiya on Shabbos as long as it's mumche, as long as it's shown that it's able to be effective. But if that's the case, then why is this usher? Why is the totefes, which is meant to ward off ayin hara, any less than the kamiya, which is meant to ward off illness? It says the Gemara, Ella Amar Rav Yehuda mishmei Abaye apuzainu. You're right. You're right. A totefes is not this thing about ayin hara, because if it was, it would be mutter just like the kamiya mumche. Instead, it's apuzainu. For those of you familiar with some psukim in Tanakh, paz in Aramaic is gold. You can see that shoresh here, apuzainu. Take a look at Rashi to see what apuzaini is. Rashi says, Fruntile shell zahav. It was this type of jewelry that a woman would wear that was made out of gold, and the word paz here is our indicator. Tanya nami hachi, a brisa to support this idea as well. Yotza isha b'sebacha hamusheves. One is allowed to wear a hat that's made out of gold. Ubitotefes ubisarvitin hakavuin ba. And one is also allowed to wear a totefes and sarvitin, which are fixed onto it. Ezo totefes, ezo sarvitin. What's what? What do these terms mean? Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Abo, Totefes hamukefes la, me ozen la ozen. The totefes was something that went from ear to ear across the forehead. The Meforshim here explained that it looked somewhat like the tzitz, somewhat like what the Kohen Gadol would wear, that it would say Kodesh la Hashem on the person's forehead. And sarvitin hamagin la ad lechaya, she'd lechayeha onto her cheeks. She'd wear like a hat of some kind that kind of went down to her cheeks. It went pretty far down by the temples. Amar Rav Huna, anios osin oso shel mine tzivonim. Women who weren't of means, they'd make this out of a garment. They'd make it out of thread, out of yarn. Ashiros osin osan shel kesef shel zav, and they'd make them out of gold and out of silver. So that's what our Mishnah said. This brisa, this Tosefta allowed it, but our Mishnah, it's a brisa, not a Tosefta, allowed it. But our Mishnah says that a totefes is not allowed. That's what our Gemara says on the top, that a woman cannot go out with the ir shalza, with a katala, with nizamim. She's not allowed to go out with any of these. So we'll pause here for tonight, right by Velo B'Kabul, and we will pick up in Mir Hashem with one blot tomorrow night, and that is blot Nun Ches. Shavua Tov, wishing you all a beautiful week. Kol Tuv.